Yeah. I missed out on 10 bands, $10,000 because of my lack of emotional control. I'm gonna walk y'all through how it happened. A lot of people wouldn't post them losing out or even losing a trade because they just want to show you the wins. I don't care about all that. It's just full transparency on my channel. Either we win, we lose, but no matter what happens, we're learning what we did. With this move in general, I learned what I did was just simply not trust the plan, the lack of control in my emotions, the lack of truly allowing the trade to play out. Because I said this before, I'm contradicting what I told y'all. I said, once I'm in a trade, 100% right, 100% wrong. There's no 50-50, there's no second guessing, and that's what I did. I second guessed, which is my fault. I can't do nothing about it. But I'm about to show y'all how we missed this move. I'm gonna show you the strategy that I used to call out this move and how you can avoid the lack of emotional control and how you can capitalize on these same positions that I call out every single week. This is the same trade setup that I would take every single time, but yet I was too scared and I didn't fully allow it to play out. Like always, before we get into the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's just helping us grow. It's helping us reach more people so they can learn the same thing you're doing right now. Learning the correction without having to go through the trial. That's it. So, enough talking. Let's hop into these charts so I can explain to y'all how we messed out on 10,000. Euro, AUD. I'm going to go into replay mode. We can go step by step on how we found this position. Daily time frame. We took two positions. I'm about to show y'all that. Took two positions on the account. We can see right here, we took one loss for $1,500 and then we won for around $266. This was the personal account, as you can see top right. This was the challenge account, lost $1,400, won $485. So that's what happened. We ended the week negative and this whole move went to... We'll get into it. So first things first, right? What did I see? I saw that price was bearish. One, on the daily time frame, we saw that we had this continuation move towards the downside, breaking past these lower lows. We're actually going to mark it off. We have my lower high. I had that recent breaker structure being here. So right now, I had that daily time frame telling me that we are in a bearish trend. Next, I went towards my 4-hour to see what we were doing. On the 4-hour time frame, I saw the exact same thing. Price was in this bearish trend as well. We can see that price was already bearish. We then had the continuation move breaking out of these lower lows. Last is I went towards the 1-hour. We had the daily and the 4-hour bearish. Last thing we did was go towards the 1-hour time frame. On the 1-hour, I saw that price was also in this bearish trend. Okay, cool. So we have all time frames telling us that we are bearish heading towards the downside. Now it's about what time frames are in sync. And what do I mean by being in sync? Well, simple as day. Say if, the daily time frame has recently performed this breaker structure, I want to see the 4-hour time frame, and let's actually mark this off. I want to see the 4-hour time frame do the exact same thing, perform that recent breaker structure, but most importantly, us being in sync with this daily time frame area of interest, right? And the area of interest is just a recent break. So we have the recent break on the daily and we got the recent break on the 4-hour. This is being in sync because now as I'm looking for price to pull back on the 4-hour time frame, this will allow the daily time frame to have that pullback as well. And then we have the continuation towards the downside. So this is what I'm looking for. And say if this is the 4-hour and this is the 1-hour, that's what I would be looking for, right? So I just want to see two time frames in sync. So right now, we know that all time frames are bearish, but what time frames are in sync? Well, the daily time frame, we performed the recent breaker structure around here. So we're expecting price to have the break and retest. Okay, cool. The 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, I would say this was in sync. Why? Because the recent break of structure happened around here. We can see this portion being our recent lower low. And the moment price gave us this break of structure, we were in sync with that daily time frame breaker structure as well. If I go towards the daily, you can see the daily time frame breaker structure. The 4-hour, we have the 4-hour time frame breaker structure. So now, by the time I'm looking for this 4-hour time frame to form this pullback, this will also allow our daily time frame to form the pullback towards that zone as well. You will see what I mean as we continue. And then as far as the 1-hour time frame, it's not really in sync because when we pay attention, we see that the recent breaker structure is nowhere close towards that daily structure zone, which it wouldn't make sense for me to enter this trade. I like to enter my trades at 3 given points in the market. If we're bearish, I want to enter my trade at the recent breaker structure meaning that this recent floor, I want to see price then treated as the resistance to then have that continuation back towards the downside, or I want to be at my lower high to where I would see price find rejection towards this lower high and then catch that move back towards the downside, or I would be at my lower lows looking for the counter trend setup to take this trade back towards the upside. So it's only 3 given parts: the high, the recent break, or the low. And then it's just vice versa for our bullish trend. Same thing, just reversed, right? We have the high, recent break, or my low. So we're not at my daily highs or my daily recent breaker structure or my daily lows. I don't look to take the trade. So on the 1 hour time frame, us being around here, performing this breaker structure, being away from my daily lows, well, my daily breaker structure, it doesn't make sense. So the 1 hour time frame, I'm not using right now, right? I'm looking to catch the flow of the market. I'm looking for price to have the retracement and then the continuation, since both of the higher time frames, the daily and the 4 hour, are in sync, and we have the 4 hour that's more in sync towards the daily structure. So now, after I identified that, okay, this is good, I'm not using my 1 hour time frame, because in my plan and my strategy, with my daily and my 4 hour in sync, I only use the daily, 4 hour, 30 minute, and the 15 minute time frame, and you'll see why. But say if my 4 hour and my 1 hour time frame was in sync, I would use the 5 minute and the 15. So it's just certain time frames I'm using, but I'm always using the daily because, like I just said, I'm always taking a trade off of daily structure. So now, as far as me looking for entries, like I said, for me to look for entries, I have to see the daily time frame perform the break and retest, and I have to see the 4 hour time frame perform the break and retest as well. Both time frames tapping back into the recent break of a structure before we have that continuation. So now I'm looking for the daily time frame to, one, have the pullback towards this recent break of structure, which will allow that daily time frame to have that pullback as well. And if you don't know, in order for us to have this pullback on our higher time frame, such as the 4 hour and the daily, our lower time frame, aka the entry time frame, our 15 minute, would have to go from this bearish trend to a bullish trend. It has to switch structures to allow the higher time frame to form that pullback. So if we go towards the 4 hour and we just fast forward, look what happens, right? When price forms the pullback, right, we see price tap back into the recent breaker structure on the 4 hour. We see price tap back towards the recent breaker structure on the daily. Both time frames just performed the break and retest, which means we're ready to now look for entries. But look what happened on the 15 minute time frame. All right, so on the 15 minute time frame, we see price do exactly that. We went from this bearish trend to then bullish trend to allow the higher time frame, such as the 4 hour, to have the pullback towards its zone. So now, in order for us to have the continuation back down, I will have to see the 15-minute time frame go from a bullish trend to now back bearish to continue this move back towards the downside. So now, if I fast forward towards this first entry, I'm going to explain to you all how we found this entry and why it was a bad entry. Boom, we see price. If we go back towards the 15-minute time frame, like I just said, in order for us to be interested, we have to see price go from bullish to bearish. By the time price went bearish around here, I didn't see my entry signal that I will be looking for, which is why I didn't enter a trade. And then the second time it went bearish happened around here. You can see price go from this bearish to back bullish to then back bearish. Once we had this break of structure, I didn't have my entry signal that I would look for. So again, I did not enter this trade. But as soon as we got down here, right, this is the first mistake. Price is no longer in my entry zone. We're not even at my entry zone. I want to be at my entry zones if I'm looking for entries. That's why it's called an entry zone. So the first mistake is that we're away from this zone. Second mistake was that even though price went from this bullish to bearish trend, we had the recent break of structure. And as soon as price gave me this break on the 15-minute, this allowed us to have that bearish engulfing on the 30-minute time frame. As you can see, these two bearish candles. And on the second candle, we had the engulfing past this bullish candle, which I thought. If we pay attention, we can see this first bearish candle engulf past that previous bullish candle, which shows us the momentum already being in the market. And once the second candle was formed, I don't I don't need to enter this trade anymore because there's no more momentum in the market. The momentum, I want to be the first one in as that engulfing candle is formed. I was not the first one in. I was the second one in, meaning that I'm late to the party and this entry does not make any sense. And so I still decided to enter the trade. Again, keep in mind, it's been 2 months since we caught a position. I've been away from the charts. I've been analyzing the charts, but we just haven't caught a position in 2 months. These 2 positions were our first trade back, our first 2 trades back inside of the market. So the first trade, it was a horrible execution, just premature. And I should have just walked away because, like I said, I'm not in my entry zone. I don't have my entry signal. So, again, I should never entered, but I still entered. So, after I entered this trade, you can obviously see what happened. Price went directly towards my stop loss. But before we even hit our stop loss, I decided to cut my trade short around here. One, because I realized that this was a bad position. So, I exit out of my trade. The trade is still valid. Why? Because if I go back towards the higher time frames, on the daily time frame, we are still bearish, right? We haven't seen price perform the second push back towards the downside. We still have our lower high, we still have our lower low. Price did not give us any type of break of structure. If price gives us a break of our lows, okay, cool. Price is still continuing towards the downside. I missed the setup. I need to walk away. If price gives us a break of our lower highs, this trade is no longer valid because we are no longer bearish. And I would simply walk away. But right now, price is still maintaining below my support zone. This recent area treated as support, now reacting as resistance. This is good. The 4-hour time frame, the same exact thing. I have what? I have my lower high being here due to this being the last high point that presented us with that break of structure. I then have my lower low being here. And then like we saw, we see price respecting our recent area of interest. This floor now turned into resistance. Until price breaks out of this lower high or breaks my lower low, breaks out of my lower high, I walk away, trade's invalid because this goes from bearish to bullish. Breaks out of my lower low, I walk away because I missed this move. But at the moment, that's not happening. Price is still maintaining in this bearish trend. We don't have a push towards my lower lows. If anything, I see price forming this pullback towards this zone once more to form a double top scenario and then have that continuation towards the downside. Right now, even though I lost my first setup, I was still interested in taking this position because like I just said, if we fast forward, what did price do? It did exactly that. It formed this double top scenario, still maintaining below my area of support, and now we're finding rejection once again. This is when I went back towards the 15-minute time frame. On the 15-minute time frame, what do we see? We see price have the push back towards our entry zone, find the rejection, but if we pay attention, our structure is bullish. I do not want to enter where my structure is bullish. The moment price went from this bullish to bearish trend, we see the first break of structure happen around here. But if I go towards the 30-minute time frame, I don't have my entry signal. Yes, we have this bearish engulfing, but this bearish engulfing did not present us with this 15-minute break of structure. In order for me to find an entry or enter that position, my entry signal, that bearish engulfing, it has to present us with the break of structure as well. In this case, the break of structure happened on that second candle, which again, if I would enter, I would be late to the party and this trade simply just wouldn't make sense. So we didn't enter the trade. We wait for a little bit longer. And as we're waiting, look what happened. Price went from a bearish again to back bullish on the 15-minute time frame. If y'all are paying attention, I'm only using the 15-minute and the 30-minute time frame right now to catch my entries. I've already done my analysis on the daily and the 4-hour time frame. Both time frames were still bearish. Both time frames were still respecting this zone of support, now treating as resistance. Now I'm allowing the lower time frames to present me with that entry signal. So if I go back toward my 15-minute, on the 15-minute time frame, we see price then go back towards this bullish trend. As we continue to fast forward, we see that continuation breakout towards the upside, now forming our new higher high, our new higher low, and I'm simply just waiting for price to give me a break of these lows, which will be followed up with that 30-minute bearish engulfing signal. So now, as we're waiting, look what happens. We fast forward, boom. Price gives us this break of structure. The moment price gave us this break past our higher lows, going from bullish to bearish, look what happened on the 30-minute. On the 30-minute time frame, we get this beautiful bearish variation pattern. A bearish variation pattern is just simply, it's either 2 bearish candles or 3 bearish candles. And on this last candle, it's engulfing our previous bullish candle, meaning that we're engulfing the wick while also engulfing past that entire body of the candle as well. And that's exactly what we had. So I found my entry, I put my stop loss right above my zone. And now if we take a look at this entry compared to this entry, this is a way better setup than what we had here. So this was just 10 times the favor or the probability of this trade playing out. Like, I had so much trust in this trade playing out, right? So boom, we found an entry, and since I'm using my 4-hour area of interest, my 4-hour entry zone, I use my 4-hour lows for my take profit, right? So now, like y'all know, in order for us to continue towards the downside, this 15-minute time frame, one has to give us the break, which it already did, and then it has to give us our entry signal, which we've already did. Now we just simply ride the trade out towards our targets. But before we even get there, look how long price played around at our entry level before we actually start dropping in our direction. We had the first push, price pulled back. Second push, price pulled back. Third push, price pulled back. Like, we played around at our entry zone for a matter of one entire day. An entire day price played at our entry level. And then what happened? Price then had the drop hitting our TP1, and then after price hit our TP1, I was like, oh snap, it's like price is moving. Look, I can just show y'all. I was like, price is moving, we're looking good, blah, 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 right here, right? Boom, we're finally moving. Let's see if price can reach overall targets. We hit TP1, as you can see, I have it marked off. And then what happened? Price then had this huge pullback. And by the time price had this pullback, I'm still holding my trade. I'm not worried. We've already been in a trade now, once we hit TP1, for a day, almost 2 days, right? We've been in a trade for 2 days. On this next candlestick, we've been in the trade for 2 days. So the moment the next candlestick was formed, I'm still in the trade and I'm not worried because I'm trusting in the analysis at this moment, right? And then on top of that, I saw that price just recently broke past this area of support, which was also treated as resistance. We take a look, support, 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 support. Resistance, 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 resistance. We see price respecting this zone on a lower time frame. The moment price gave us this move towards the upside, and then look how close, look, after price respected this zone, we then had another beautiful momentum push towards the downside, giving us that extra oomph, if you will, to get closer towards our overall targets. And then look what happened with price. Boom, we had this huge push towards the upside. The moment price gave us this huge push was the moment I saw price get back above this area of support / resistance. And looking at previous data, when price is above this zone, we see how price respects it as support. So I saw price get above the zone on the 1 hour. I was expecting price to then respect it as support and then continue towards the upside. I did not mean to do that. So I'm expecting price to have this push, come back, retest, and then have that continuation. And so, one, I'm expecting that to happen. Two, I see that price is giving us a break out of these lower highs on the 1 hour time frame. So the moment I saw this push get back above the zone, the moment I saw price give me the break of these 1 hour lower lows or lower highs, I then said, okay, I'm gonna exit out of this trade once price reached this area. And you can see this is exactly where price reached. I exit out of my trade, price formed this wick. This is where I messed up. Why? Because I did not use the 1 hour time frame for anything besides identifying what trend we're in at the beginning of this breakdown. Once I realized that my daily and my 4 hour time frame were the 2 time frames I were using because those 2 time frames were in sync, we threw out the 1 hour time frame. I'm not even paying attention to it anymore. That's where I should have just told myself, well, why does it matter if the 1 hour is broken bullish or the 1 hour has got back above the zone? we're not using the 1 hour time frame. I use the daily, the 4 hour, and the 30-minute and the 15-minute time frame to execute this position. I use the daily time frame to find out which way the market is heading and if we were at that recent structure break on the daily. I use the 4 hour to see if we were in sync with the daily time frame, which we were. We had the recent break being here on the 4 hour, which was also in sync with the daily structure point. And then once we realized that, I simply used the 15-minute time frame to look for the break of structure, which we had. I used the 30-minute time frame to find my entry, which we had. I never used the 1 hour time frame in this whole breakdown, besides identifying which way the market was moving. That's where I messed up. The moment I said, well, I'm gonna close my trade based off of the 1 hour, that's where the trade went wrong. That's where I went wrong. The trade didn't go wrong. That's where I went wrong. Because look what happened. I start seeing price have this continuation move towards the upside. You can see this small rejection we formed towards this area. So I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen the rejection, price treating it as support. It's easily going to continue towards the upside, right? And then look what happened. I'm thinking price is going to continue towards the upside. We have this huge wick towards our entry once more. And the moment price formed that wick, look what happened on the next candlestick. Price formed a bearish candle, then another bearish candle, then another bearish candle, then another bearish candle. Like, price did not do anything besides show us that we were still right about the setup. And if I draw out another zone, we have another zone of support / resistance where price reached and found rejection. But I was so emotional, I didn't even see this zone. So I didn't see that zone. I didn't see it. And because I didn't see it is the reason, well, it didn't even matter if I did see it because my judgment came off of the break on the 1 hour, which didn't matter. It did not matter. And look what price did. The moment we closed out the trade was the moment price reversed and then continued in our direction, hitting our targets. Keep in mind, I have $200,000 accounts. I'm risking around $2,300 on both accounts, $4,600 combined, and this trade went to 2.25% in return. We would have made $10,350 on this setup with both accounts combined. Fam, just trust the analysis. If you don't get anything from this, trust the analysis. Let that be the only thing you get. Because the only thing we did wrong was go against the rules. We did not trust the analysis. I even said, I think the moment we entered this trade, because I'm about to take y'all back to when we entered the trade. When we entered the trade, right here, I said active. We let the market do what it wants. Do what it wants is what I said at 8:51 p.m. And then that was on 2:17. And then 2:18. Freaking 2:19, 2 days later, I say I close out the trade. Discipline over emotion. Stop lying. It was emotions. It was emotions. And then look what I say to follow up. Boom. I broke my number one rule. Never second guess the analysis. And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly why we were negative for the week and we missed out on this trade. I didn't deserve to win this trade because my emotions were out of control. I didn't deserve to make the money on this trade because I was too worried about the money on this trade, the amount of money I was going to lose. But if I was still tuned in to the freaking plan itself, I would have saw that there was nothing wrong with this plan. I would have saw that the setup was never invalid. It was still valid, and I would have still held with this execution. Trust the analysis. Trust your plan. Do not go against it. Who cares if you think you're going to lose? Allow it to lose. Because now you look crazy for closing out your trade when you were right about the trade. I'm either 100% right or 100% wrong. I don't believe in break evens. That shows I don't trust my analysis. I don't believe in closing my trade early because that shows I don't trust my analysis. Close my trade before it hits my stop loss even though I'm in negative. It shows you don't trust your analysis. Because simple as day, price can be in drawdown and you can find rejection and then price can push towards your targets because your technical analysis was correct. Just trust yourself. Just trust yourself. And even if I did set my trade at break even, look how many times I would have got taken out of this trade. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times I would have got taken out of this trade. Why? Because I want to put it at break even. For what? To protect capital? No, I know what I put on the table. I'm risking this amount of money for a reason because I'm either right or I'm wrong. Trust analysis. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment down below, like the video. Besides that, just trust yourself, bro. Trust yourself. Don't make mistakes like this. You make money in the market. Trust the plan. Who cares about the money? Just trust the plan. Execute the plan. This is what we trade every single week. This is the exact plan I look for, but yet I did not trust it because I was too worried about the dollar amount of what I was going to be losing on this account. It is what it is. We got a new week. By the time I post this video, it will be a new week of trading. Prayerfully, we catch position to capitalize and make back the loss that we had on this previous week or this trade, and we just go from there. Because at the end of the day, even though I lost or even though I messed up, I'm going to show up next week and do it all over again. The market's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. It's either I learn or I don't. Either I fix it or I don't. Simple as that. That's it. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Bless one. Deuces.